I'm back. Just got a haircut. The next book that I read is this gem right here, Meditations for Mortals by Oliver Bergman. And this was a very interesting book, and also in many chapters counterintuitive, which is really nice to read because that expands your mindset. You think about things that you wouldn't have thought about before, or you think about specific aspects in a very different way. Wait. This book I was reading when I went to Istanbul, going for a modeling on-stage trip for the first time in my life, and it was Istanbul, and it was beautiful. The people that I met there were awesome. Yeah, I basically made new friends there. I stayed there for 1.5 months, and that is also the time period where I finished this book. This book basically goes by day 1, day 2, day 3. Each day you read a chapter, which made it super easy for this to incrementally get finished. There's so many quotes I love. For example, on day 3, you are free to do whatever you like. You need only face the consequences. To me now, having read a lot of books, listening to podcasts, this is a very basic insight. Beyond the mountains, there are always more mountains. At least until you reach the final mountain before your time on earth comes to an end. In the meantime, few things are more exhilarating than mountaineering. You're never gonna finish your goals, like the journey of becoming the best version of yourself. There is no such thing as the best version of yourself. There is only a better version of yourself day by day. You can climb one mountain of improving your communication skills here, improving your small talk skills, boom. But then there's always something else you can be doing. You will never reach the final mountain, no matter how long you live. And in that time, yeah, the most exciting thing is to just climb those mountains, basically. It's another quote. That which seems like a false step is just the next step. The way I interpret this, and it's very relevant to my situation, I have quite difficulty making decisions, which is really, really draining and time consuming. Because even for small decisions, for example, every morning I go on my morning walk, right? And sometimes I want to spice that morning walk up because the same route every day kind of gets a bit boring. I guess if you let it be boring, you can always find new things even on the same route. However, in those scenarios, for example, I go outside and then I'm thinking, okay, where should I go? I literally leave my door and I just stand there for 5 to 10 minutes just thinking, oh, should I go left? Should I go right? Should I go this way? What would feel the best? What route would look the nicest? With those decisions, I always subconsciously ask myself, which one would I not regret? To me, the quote, that which seems like a false step is just the next step, is just quite mind-blowing, because what it basically says is that you're just supposed to act, just do. That's the message I take from this quote. I guess there's different ways you can view this. I'm thinking, for example, the false step is just the next step, which is, how do I explain this? Taking the next step is just the next step, and even if it is a mistake, it will still get you further along to your goals. That's how I view it. Yeah, with my indecisiveness, there's also a chapter to this one. When you're not choosing either of the options you're taking so long to think about, you're still choosing the third option, which is thinking about which option is the most optimal one to take. I do that a lot, and it's really, 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 yeah, it's quite draining. So I'm working on just taking action, just deciding faster, because it can't be that I spend 5 to 10 minutes on almost every decision. Dude, my time on this planet is limited, and I do not want to spend it just thinking and not doing. Another thing I think contributes to this indecisiveness is the fact that I just have so much free time, man. I am 100% focused on modeling right now. I have modeling experience under my belt, but right now I take it this serious for the first time. I just switched agencies, so I'm just in the process of taking off. I could choose to do a part-time job, but then I'm sacrificing the kinds of jobs I could be making with modeling. When you have so much free time, I noticed that the time just loses its value. It kind of dissolves into this vast ocean. It's like free time dripping, but it's just dripping into an ocean. And at that point, you don't really value the water anymore. If you don't have that much free time and you're thirsty, that's when you start to value water, free time much more. Last week I was working behind the bar for a very, very short 4-day job. During that time, I could already see, wow, after this work is done, what would I would really like to do bouldering. Wow, I would really love to go to the gym. Oh, okay. I would really like to work on more videos like this. It's when you start to have limited time that you really start to think about what you're going to do with the free time you'll have later on. It's like with anything in life, if you have too much of one thing, it loses its value. I was already talking so much about free time in my video from 3 years ago, and I cannot believe it, bro. I cannot believe that I'm still in a similar situation as to then. I have changed as a person immensely since I've recorded that big video 2 years ago, I believe now. However, my situation hasn't that much changed. Before wanting to take modeling serious, I wasn't down to work a job trading an hour of my life for 12.50 euros. And that is such a privileged position to be in, because you don't have the need to make money. You don't need to worry about the next paycheck, worrying about even having food for yourself the next days. I'm in a privileged position where I'm so comfortable and never really having to worry about money. However, this privilege, in my eyes, is also quite damn a self-chosen curse. I don't know how much self-chosen it is. I'm a big believer of accountability. You brought yourself to where you are in life for the most part. Yeah, when you don't have the need to make money, I think that is also really bad, because in my situation that just makes me not willing to work, I guess, minimum wage jobs, even though I need the money, you know? But let's make this fast because it's supposed to be a video about the books, not too much more. Meditations for Mortals, that was the next book I read. Beautiful book. Maybe I make a more detailed video on this one as well. Then, fiction book, The Cafe on the Edge of the World. It was very refreshing to read something fiction related compared to all the non-fiction books I read. It's kind of like letting your mind run, because with non-fiction books, there's a degree of focus you have to dedicate to the pages you read. With fiction books, it's kind of like a flow. Of course, with some non-fiction books, I also have this kind of flow, but you don't have to focus so hard. It's a story, where storytelling and story-loving animals, so this is gonna be easier to read. It's basically about this guy who's just driving in the middle of the country. He stops by in a very unusual cafe in the middle of nowhere. There, he gets a menu from the waitress with 3 questions. Why are you here? Do you fear death? And are you fulfilled? The rest of this book is trying to answer the why are you here question. Yeah, many cool stories. It's like a fiction book, but with non-fiction lessons, like the kind of lessons that non-fiction books are made of. Focus on the truly important things in life. Don't blindly follow the script. Like, actually be conscious of the choices you make. And advertising as well. Like, a lot of interesting insights in this book. Very fun read. Yeah, so I finished that. Then I also got short stories in Spanish, because I'm learning Spanish. Started on Duolingo about almost 3 years ago now. This is a very cool way to learn a language. Like, you need to be kind of A2, B1 for this. Yeah, it also kind of makes you proud that you can read a book in a different language and understand half or even most of it. At the end of each chapter, there are also questions to test your understanding, and also words you might not find in Duolingo at a early level. Like, what the heck is la ladera, you know, the hillside? When you're gonna get to the hillside in Duolingo? I definitely haven't been there yet, and I've been doing it for almost 3 years daily. So yeah, very cool. And one big book which I also discovered in Istanbul, this one right here. What's Your Dream? Man, this book, when I saw the title, I was instantly hooked, because I kind of also make it a really, really big thing in my own head. I mean, this is a huge question. What do you want to do in life? Bro, let's say there's a knob here, you change it, and it changes my age. We start at 0. You change it, wow. A baby, very different to 5-year-old me. 5-year-old me, very different to 10-year-old me, 10-year-old me, very different to 15, 16-year-old me, and 16-year-old me, a completely different person to who I am now with 22. And the point I'm trying to make here is that, and I stumbled upon this idea in a podcast I was listening to today in the gym, that there's not just one person within you, there's multiple ones just spread across time. Because who I'm going to be in 5 years is not who I am now. I know that for sure. I mean, you can't know anything for sure. What I know is that I don't know. That kind of quote from, I don't want to quote somebody wrong, so I'm just gonna say it. But that, okay, we're not getting into philosophy now, but yeah, in the end, I'm going to change in the next 5 years because I'm just that kind of person. I want to better myself every day, and that's what I'm also doing. But there's not just one person in here, there's many. And the questions such as, what do you want to do in life? If you ask either of those 16-year-old, 10-year-old, 5-year-old versions of me, they would give you a completely different answer. I don't even know what 5-year-old version of me would say. Maybe resurrect dinosaurs because I was so big into dinosaurs growing up. And 10-year-old me would just want to play video games. 15-year-old me, probably a Twitch streamer. And now I don't play video games anymore unless it's like with family occasionally, and I have a very, very different view. So I guess a more suiting question would be, what do I want to do? What do I want to do in my life right now? That's also a big question. Just these kind of big questions where it's like, what do you want to do in life? And again, I was listening to another podcast where they were talking just about that as well in the gym today. It's really hard to tackle those big questions, and they are also quite limiting, because if you put an answer on it, it's like, wow, okay, your whole life you want to do that? Okay, fine. But again, you're multiple people. With time, your mindset, your perspective of the world is going to change, and it changes every day. I guess I've trapped myself in asking this question subconsciously daily. Dude, what do you want to do, man? We got to do something. Like, what is that one purpose you were built for, you were born for? But maybe I should start asking myself, hey man, how can we make today a meaningful day? How can we make you feel more fulfilled today or tomorrow or in the next week? But not looking at, bro, what were you born to do for the rest of your life? Like, stuff with purpose. I'm a big fan of this concept, but at the same time, I think I've trapped myself. And so when I read the title of this book, I directly was like, whoa, what's my dream? Please tell me. Obviously not tell me, but help me find it. And it's funny because I just read basically the chapters where he gave advice on how to find your dream. But then he also explicitly says on the last page I read that if you haven't found your dream yet, you should not continue reading until you found it. The tips in here with how to find your dream, make a list of things you like and don't like and all of those things, and I did it, and in some ways it did give me insights. For example, that I love organizing things when I'm with friends, family, when I'm abroad. I love finding restaurants that look awesome, have a nice vibe, have good food, finding activities, must-see things, and also the not so popular type of activities that kind of makes me think about, for example, event management or event organization, planning, meetups and stuff. It's very interesting. And at the same time, I'm a super sporty person. I love doing sports, any kind of sports, really, like basketball, football, volleyball, beach volleyball. I try a lot, even fencing I tried, tennis. And when I say I tried, like university courses, which is just such an awesome opportunity. I could go on around for that, but I won't. Yeah, and then I'm thinking like, damn, watching these competition shows, Physical Asia, Physical 100, I get so, like, it kind of ignited a fire in me that I haven't felt for a long time. So I'm also thinking, dude, I would love to kind of coach a whole group, push people to their limits, and myself as well, because I love seeing that. Or just teamwork, team-based sports, like, damn. Well, that's the book I read. And now the book I'm reading right now, Notes on Being a Man. Masculinity nowadays is quite and it shouldn't be, controversial topic, because many of us, we don't know what it means to be a man nowadays anymore. The past version of being a man, obviously had aspects to it that don't have a net positive impact. For example, don't feel your emotions, don't share your emotions. When you struggle, don't ask for help. Things like this, what people call the macho masculinity, toxic masculinity. I don't really like those terms. I more prefer, I guess, immature masculinity. It's by Scott Galloway, who's a really, really fun guy to listen to on podcasts. Really funny, but also very insightful stuff. How to be a good man, how to treat women in a good way, how to be a good husband, stuff like this, all of that. Growing up, I really was just a nice kid, bro, the nice guy. Like, not even simping, just because as a kid I didn't really care about relationships or that stuff. Just went by my day carefree. But saying no, for example, was super difficult for me. I don't think I knew that was an option, to be honest. And then you just get walked all over by other people. And that's not what a good man is. So I didn't grow up on a path towards being a good man. I grew up on a path towards being a nice guy. Not even a man in my eyes. If you are gonna be walked all over, if you let yourself be walked all over as a guy, then nah, that ain't it. Obviously also not as a woman, but speaking about being a man here, and till this day still, obviously, because that was most of my life growing up on this path, I still have traces within my behavior and thought patterns related to being that nice guy, but I'm working day in, day out to get away from that and find more of a balance between what I already mentioned, the asshole kind of guy with the high confidence and the nice guy who can never say no. Like, in between there, that's where I want to be. And that's why these kind of books that guide you towards becoming that best version of a man that you can be, a good man, is very important to me. And I love reading it right now. I read it every night, even if it's just a few sentences, because I want to go to bed earlier, and I am going to bed earlier and earlier, waking up 7:45 a.m. now. We went from 9:30 to 7:45 in a matter of 3 weeks. And now I'm just going with a sunrise, like I think 7 a.m. for next month. It's a sweet, sweet goal. Now I can already hit the gym before breakfast, which before I didn't do, because 9:30 I woke up, go for a walk, maybe get groceries, I'm back 10:30, and it's breakfast time, because I eat between 10:30 and 11. Now I'll wake up 7:45, go for a walk, do my stuff, 8:15, 8:30, I can just hit the gym, man, for 2 hours, and then boom. So yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, man, these are the books that I have been reading last year and up until this year. I mean, this is the first book of 2026, basically. We can say that. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for paying attention, which is the highest valuable currency nowadays, and a war for attention with TikToks and Instagram Reels. If you can watch a long form video like this, and not even at my peak of editing skills and storytelling skills, like, damn, that's crazy. Good job. That's it for today. I'll see you in the next one. God dang. It recorded.